Good morning. We're walking into a text that I actually need to have a little preliminary word about before we get into it. It is a text that is often weaponized by non-believers against Christians, which is kind of odd because it's the Bible, right? And yet what happens then with Christians is they have an overreaction against that weaponization. Let me explain. When we have texts that say, judge that you not be judged, that's Matthew 7:1. Oftentimes, any statement about the moral deprivations of society or the morally repugnant acts of a person are seen as, you're judging me, you're judging me, you're judging me. So any assessment becomes a problem. Now, what happens is non-believers, probably the most quoted verse in the Bible by non-believers, they will accuse sometimes Christians of judging, right? Of judging. And the moment that that's kind of thrown out, it's kind of weaponized as, don't speak to me about what I can't do, or don't speak to me about something that I'm doing wrong. So Christians then tend to react, and they tend to make a lot of excuses about Matthew 7. They end up not having the right things to say about it. They end up sort of downplaying it in some ways. And so they're so busy refuting the statement, don't judge me, that they miss the force of what Jesus is saying, which is about not passing judgment. But the issue is what is meant by judge. So just quick this morning, let's state what is meant by judge, and let's state what is not meant by judge. So there's in the use of the word here, krino, okay, there are a couple of ideas that really predominate. It's used 6 times in Matthew's gospel. 4 of them are right here in this text. But when we look at the uses of it in the New Testament, we kind of have 2 ideas that rise to the surface. One is the idea of condemn. So to pass a judgment that is a condemnation, right, of another, particularly here of your brother. So the text really interestingly is primarily about another person who's in the kingdom here, and you are condemning that person who's in the kingdom, and you're acting as judge and jury in a condemning way. There's another use of it, which is the idea of appraising, where you might have a judge who appraises both an object or maybe an event or something like that. It's here being used in reference to condemnation. So what I want you to understand is that what Jesus is saying essentially in this is, when you live a life of condemning others, particularly condemning people who are fellow believers, who are fellow kingdom citizens, when you live that life, it's like you're clotting the kingdom heart or the kingdom veins. You're not allowing the blood of the kingdom to sort of flow through you. Instead, it's causing disruption that's not allowing the life of Christ to flow freely. This is why judging in terms of condemning is a problem. Of course, we are always appraising. The Bible speaks about us appraising ideas and actions and things like that. We have to do that. Discernment, moral testing, and that way moral judgment is deeply important. That's different than condemnation. So as we move forward, I want you to keep in mind what is being condemned is condemnation, not appraising. Just a thought as we begin to think about this important section in Matthew chapter 7. Take care.